It is Tuesday, September 14th, 2021, which means it's time for our LinkedIn Live, specifically Listening with Your Eyes LinkedIn Live. It also happens to be my mother-in-law's birthday, so happy birthday, and I hope it's a great one down in South Carolina. I had to take a bunch of notes today because this is going to be a great broadcast. I am so excited to talk about some revelations I've had in the last week or so. Things have been kind of brewing and bubbling, and there will be new programs coming up soon, which I am thrilled to talk about. And we might be a little bit controversial today. We might be a little bit cantankerous, as I like to say, because I'm not sure that the message that I have for you today is getting out there enough. And basically, the message is we're still boring. I posted a blog, I think it was a blog, probably even several years ago, on something about how just boring we are on our websites and in our social media feeds and things. There's a lot of us, particularly small business owners or people who work for larger organizations, that kind of come across as boring. And if you're out there and if you're listening, and hello to everybody who's watching this broadcast later, throw some things in the comments. If you're like, yeah, I've wondered if I'm boring, right? Or I'm afraid to do video because I think that I'm going to be, people will call me boring. And when I say boring, it's not so much, it's not a, oh, that person's boring, like personality, because I truly believe that there are very few individuals out there who would truly be what we would call boring. The reason that this has happened to us is our authenticness, if you will, how we enjoy managing, how we enjoy selling, how we love to show up in the world, and what makes us excited every day has been squelched or has been over advised out of us. There are so many programs that say, oh, if you just do this, you'll make $1 million. Or there are consultants that come in and say, oh, well, if you manage your people like this, this is going to happen. They're going to be better. And me included, right? I have my own system for bringing your communication to another level. But I think the distinction is there are wonderful consultants out there who really do look for the individuality and really create programs that are what I call true to you. But there are other systems out there that are more prescribed. Do this, get that. And I see it particularly because I work with quite a few sales teams, and I see this happen a lot. And I know I've mentioned it on here before, where here's the script, go sell the thing. Or Bob is our top producer, so sell like Bob. And that just never works because the individual is being taken out of the equation, and that makes the presentation boring. I have seen it on the flip side as well. Let me know if any of you have had this experience where you were sitting in the audience and the keynote speaker comes up and they are so over the top with everything. And they're like, give me a yeah, give me a yes, give me like, and it's all this way hyped up. And for me, after a couple minutes of that, I tune out because there's too much shouting. I don't know what's important. I don't know what I'm supposed to be taking out of this talk because everything is over the top and there's no variety. And I would put that in the becomes boring because it's all the same. It's a oneness. It becomes monotone, even when it's all loud and shouty. So what do we do? Often we fall into the trap of, okay, if all of this isn't working, then gosh, I must need to do something that's like what the other successful people are doing. And I fell into this trap too. I am not saying that this did not absolutely 100% happen to me a couple years ago when I hired a marketing firm to make me more corporate. I thought that's what I needed to do, was make myself appear in my website and messaging and things a little bit more corporate. And it squashed who I was. And obviously it didn't work. I didn't bring in more clients because that wasn't being authentic to who I was. And I had to have that light bulb moment and switch things around. And when I went back to being more like me, then things switched around. And for instance, last couple weeks ago, I was speaking at the Illinois CPA Society conference, the first time back. Maybe you saw the social media post with my mask on, in my conference room, getting ready to do my talk. And we had a lovely setup there. Oh my gosh, it was streamed at the same time as being live. They were doing a hybrid event, and they really took care of us quite well. They had somebody that was watching the chat box for us, and they were filming what we were doing, and we didn't have to worry about watching ourselves on a screen somewhere to stay inside our box or anything like that. And they mic'd us, and so it was a really good setup. And afterwards, the lovely sound guy, and I learned his name at the time, but I have since forgotten. So I apologize. I want to say it might be like Mike, but I'm not sure. And he came up to me afterwards and he says, and I think I wrote it down. He said, oh, there it is. Where did you come from? And I kind of laughed, and I was like, what? What do you mean, where did I come from? I live in Chicago. He says, no, everybody else around here is boring. And I was like, oh gosh, right, probably. Because accounting isn't necessarily considered to be something that is fun or, razzle dazzle. Accounting, there's a right answer for that. But the point is, and the message is, that even if the subject matter is cut and dried, even if your business, what it is that you do, the widgets that you make, you've been making for 50 years, that doesn't mean that your messaging needs to be boring. That doesn't mean that the folks that work for you can't have their own personalities. I guess that's really what it's coming down to. And then people look at me and they say, well, how do I know if I'm being boring, or how do I not be boring? And I say to them, well, it starts with this whole idea and the concept of listening with your eyes, but turning it on yourself, self-observation. You can always stop and ask yourself, was that comfortable? Did that feel like me? Did the talk that I just gave, was I channeling some other speaker that I know that I like, but it's dimming my own light because I'm just trying to act like somebody else? Or was I too influenced by all the Googling of body language the night before that now I was in my head thinking about all these do's and don'ts that I read about? Or the professor that you had in school that told you that this was the way things had to be done and this was the only way things could happen, and that has like stymied your own light. Where is all of this going? Well, I believe that some of this resignation that has happened, right? This great resignation isn't only that people are leaving bad bosses, isn't only that they want a flexible work schedule. There's all of those things, yes, but I think a lot of it comes down to this pandemic enlightening everyone to who they are. We spent a lot of time by ourselves. We spent a lot of time doing our own thing and doing things the way we wanted to, or figuring it out how it works for ourselves, figuring out how to go virtually, figuring out how to still connect with customers. All of that stuff, we kind of had more autonomy for a while. And that is getting to this crux of being more like you. And if they're suddenly going back to the office, or if there's our new protocols and things coming down that is kind of squashing that newfound light, there's probably people that are going to be leaving our organizations. And so I would encourage you to think of ways that you can still encourage the authenticity of the people that you work with and yourself as well. And I don't have all the new programs figured out yet. I know it's going to be called True to You is one thing. I know that under the Listening with Your Eyes umbrella, the individualized and small team program is going to be True to You, and really figuring out what that is. Because the beautiful thing about movement pattern analysis assessments that I do is because it is based on your nonverbal behavior, the assessment is true to you. The assessment isn't you filling something out on a computer where you're kind of guessing what the computer wants you to say. It doesn't go through some kind of algorithm that shoots out your letters of, or where you fall on some chart. It does have categories, but it is based on your behavior, how you move, and that connects to how you think. And then we take all of that information and decide where you're being blocked in your true to you. And it may not be working with me right away. I have a whole bench of folks that think like me and will get to the bottom of what the hangups are, so that then we can figure out what your movement habit really is and should be, and how to make that work in all of the areas of your life, which is super exciting. If non-boring appeals to you, I would encourage you to go to my website at www.movingimageconsulting.com. Shoot me a little message and we'll have a time to chat, because I am looking for people to go on this journey with me and to figure all of this out. I don't have all the answers. It's going to take people like you that are really interested in figuring out your true to you. And I am most likely, I am not 100% positive, but I think we're going to keep these Listening with Your Eyes LinkedIn Lives, but we're going to add a live stream / become podcast that will be on this idea of not being boring, where I bring on guests who I feel fall into that not boring category, that have figured it out, that know who they are, that their messaging is very organic to who they are, no matter how quote unquote boring their business is. I know plenty of accountants that are phenomenal in their messaging. They're very true to themselves. They're energized. They're energetic. People are drawn to them, and they consistently fill their pipeline. I know people that do other odd jobs that you think, wow, what? You don't have to be a performer. You don't have to have been a performer. You don't have to be a fantastic speaker to not be boring, to be the one that everyone wants to work for in your office, to be that leader that is a little bit different, perhaps, that does break the mold. What a great compliment I received from that sound guy who's seen so many speakers. Where did you come from? That's the kind of reaction that you want your clients to have. That's the kind of reaction you want your new hires to have. Wow, where did this come from? This is unlike any place that I've ever worked before. And that's my new mission. I've been working for a long time on where exactly do I fit in and where does this body language thing fit in? And I really think this is it. This is the true to you in order to build the business, get your message out there, have everybody following you and doing what you want them to do as managers, whether it is virtual, whether it's hybrid, whether it's in person. All of the body language rules or the signals are the same, and we can still figure out what is true to you. So go ahead and make sure that you message me and start thinking about yourself. Ask that question. Is this true to me? When you get out of a meeting, was I true to myself? Did I speak in a way that I felt was authentic? And once you start answering that for yourself, small shifts will happen and other people will start to notice. And hopefully you'll come back to me and you'll say, hey, I did that. I started to think about, is this true to me? Was I being authentic? And wow, these shifts and these major things happened in my life. All right. So the True to You program coming soon. I'll let you know when it drops on the website. And it will include online stuff as well as a start to help get you going. And potentially a new podcast. Write me in the comments. Let me know if you think that's a good idea. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to see comments, because when people comment later in LinkedIn, like, you can't go and see the comments. It's weird. Or go on YouTube and leave me some messages. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. It is just Moving Image Consulting. If you look that up under the YouTube on the YouTube site, you'll find it, because there's so much great content there. And I don't do a lot on Instagram, and my TikTok I kind of let go. I'm going to be bringing that back as well. But these are really the great ways to find me and look up all that great content. Make sure you subscribe. You can join my newsletter. I think I'm going to go down to once a month. I kind of took the summer off trying to decide what to do with that newsletter, and it'll probably only be once a month. So you're not going to have your inbox filled with those, because I know I don't read stuff when I get it from people every single day. I tune out and I just go delete, 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 delete. It takes a really, really, really good catchy headline to make me open it. And I know that's probably true for you in my newsletter as well. So know that when it happens, there's probably good juicy stuff in there, because it doesn't happen very often. Have a wonderful day, everybody. It's been delightful sharing with you this new avenue, if that's a good word for it. I wouldn't call it a complete pivot. Maybe it's a focus. That might be a really good way to put it, that I have finally struck on how everything that I do and who I am fits in with who you are and what you do. So here's to being you. See you next week.